Welcome everyone, this is Prime News and today you're listening to LOTRO Players News where we take a look at the latest in LOTRO and hear LOTRO Players. And today I am joined by Krister.
Hello.
Hello there Krister, and are you all ready to hear what the news is?
I have my caffeine. I have some smelling salts just in case. I'm ready.
Oh well, don't worry, there's nothing really that shocking this week. Especially compared to what we had last week, where we had all that news relating to the servers and all. In fact, this is a pretty slow news week, but they did post the 2025 public event schedule. So to talk about what is happening here in LOTRO, it looks like the Forester Crafting event has started up. That started up on the 15th at 10 a.m. and that's all up for a week until the 22nd. Now, one of the things that they have in here is that Rowan Raspberry is going to arrive on the 29th, and I suppose it should not be a major surprise that they are expecting to have an update coming up on the 29th. So, those are connected. I believe they have to do some tweaks relating to Rowan Raspberry before she could return. So the update, which is 42.4, something like that, is there for Rowan Raspberry and any other tweaks they need to do. Maybe to reactivate the Ill Omen Skirmish event, which is starting on the 30th. And some little tweaks like that. And who knows, maybe they're planning some other special coffer or something like that. Who knows what's in the minds of Standing Stone Games right now. But anyway, at this moment, we do have an event schedule in there so you get an idea of what is going on and when they're planning on things. Like on the 29th of February is when they are planning to start the Legendary Item Reward track. That's a little bit later than usual. Now, I believe that they're needing that one because there are some things that they're planning an update around the 19th of February. I'm thinking that that is going to be the Quality of Life update that's going to be scheduled for them. I'm not completely sure. I guess we're going to find out when that happens in there. That will be the third Wednesday of February. So my guess right now is that we should be expecting update 43 to happen on the 19th with the Alive Reward track happening around that time, and who knows, maybe that'll also be in the middle of all the panic of transfers because we're going to have all that big thing about the people transferring to the new servers and all that stuff, and that's probably going to be happening somewhere around that time. So the middle of February is going to be thrilling, isn't it?
It sounds like we're going to be living in interesting times.
In interesting times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in fact, I think it's going to just be interesting to see what happens with the server moves and stuff.
Yes.
Kind of curious about how many people are actually going to move. There's a lot of buzz kind of back and forth with people, and I don't know if it'll just go down the lines of, like for classic, like one of our kin leader has. She has literally a whole neighborhood that she has to herself, and I don't feel like there's any way that you're just going to get the writs. So there's no guarantee that you'll be able to recreate what you built, and especially considering I don't think she, it wasn't like she built it overnight. This was like a slow accumulation based on other people leaving and places freeing up, and so is it more prudent for her to move, or is it more prudent for her to stay with that?
Well,
But
it depends on how important that particular aspect of it is, especially on the short term basis, because I'd say the best odds that she will have in being able to get all of those, get an entire uh, neighborhood from the same neighborhood and all that stuff. Now, this is, I presume, you said a premium neighborhood.
that's a good question. I believe it is.
It has to be because I can't think of any way of doing it in a regular neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And I'm assuming that they're all on the same account, right? Not that she has 20
Yes.
accounts or anything like that.
Well, no, 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 20 count. Yeah, she might have like 20 characters.
Yeah, but not 20 accounts. All right.
Right, right.
All right. Yeah. So therefore, it would have to be a premium neighborhood, and I can't remember how many are going to be in a particular premium neighborhood. But yeah, being able to get all those houses, you probably have to be patient, wait some time for the big land rush to do, and once you do that, you could then look at where you is if you could figure out when a new housing neighborhood is going to open up.
Yeah,
And
that's you've got a good point too,
yeah,
because maybe there's a further plan to simply just increase the number of
well,
neighborhoods.
there is an automatic system that if all the neighborhoods are missing certain types of houses and fill up, they automatically create new ones. Now, one of the tricks that we had is that when I was once part of a group that wanted to have a neighborhood all together, we what we did is we figured out, watched carefully how the housing sales were going in a particular area, and we eventually determined that all we had needed was for one more regular house to be purchased in a neighborhood in the Shire, and it would have created a new housing neighborhood a certain time after that.
Okay,
So
okay.
what we had is we arranged for a person to buy that last house so that we knew what time it was. And we all gathered at that time where we were expecting that housing neighborhood to came out. And then we all went and we of course prearranged which house each of us was going to get. And then we all then went and bought those houses, and whoop, that neighborhood was bought up very very quickly.
Well, it almost sounds like a military operation.
Yeah, 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 because you have to go and time it all right and stuff like this. So you have to know how the housing neighborhood works and when it brings things up and stuff like and things like that. Now it's particularly tough in a premium neighborhood because you're not going to buy if there are two houses left and you need to go and buy one or two more houses to this. Okay, you just invest in buying those two houses that other neighborhood so you can open up this other neighborhoods where you really wanted the houses.
Well, those two houses you purchased, then once you got the new neighborhood up and running,
Yeah.
you burn those two down for insurance.
Ah,
The key is not to get caught.
this is this is Lotro, not Eve. And in case you ever want to know, is that there is this concept of insurance on ships in Eve. So if you're
Oh, thank goodness. Sometimes you hear about those battles and they tell you the real world cost of them, and you're like, oh,
yeah, so in fact, it has a thing about setting a minimum price on one of the resources in there because if the resource ever because I think it was that if the resource dipped below a certain level, it would it would cause us it will cause an imbalance that would make the insurance system not work for the player or something like this or so, it was really strange. So it pretty much ensured that there was a minimum price that you can't. I can't remember whether it
isn't
affected the maximum
wait,
price or minimum price or something.
yeah, isn't that how insurance operates in the real world? Anyways, you pay into it, and then when you
Yeah.
need it, they deny your claim, and
Yes. Oh, actually, I think it was. It was. I think it was the maximum price because what would happen is that if the price of it exceeded a certain value, for example, I think it was that it would become cheaper to take your take to buy a ship, take it out of the take it out of the port and blow it up and collect the insurance that would.
that's so funny.
uh, I couldn't remember whether it's the minimum price or maximum price. But Eve has all sorts of weird things happening with economics in there. So I can't remember whether that was the minimum price or no. But there was this one material whose price had a ceiling in one of the two directions because of someone could scam and take a ship and blow it up and get a better payoff if they did that. Oh,
I wonder
actually, no.
how.
Okay, now I think that set the minimum price because what happened is that you would build if the price got too low, then you could just use the material you got instead of selling the material because it's too because the price is too low. Instead of selling the material, what you do is you build a ship with that material and blow up that
Oh,
ship and collect the insurance from that, and that would get you. And so the price would never fall below what you would collect if you were collecting on the insurance that way no one will because no one will sell it that way because it won't go into the market because it won't go into the market because someone will instead just build a ship and blow it up.
we have it in good authority that your battleship was built entirely of Space Big Mac wrappers. Is
Yes.
that correct?
But anyway, but that shows so yeah so but
Well, so
this is
now,
Lotro though. This is
yeah,
Lotro
you're
though,
right,
and
absolutely.
you're
And
not going to
the
do
one
that.
thing I didn't know how the neighborhood system worked in that regard too.
Yeah.
So that probably sounds like you're saying is they just have to wait for the tidal wave to pass, and then you can see if you can plan that out and execute it when the opportunity arises. So
Right. I
that's
guess that's.
funny.
But in any case, what happens though is if all the houses in all the inner city neighborhoods get built, I think there might be all the ones a certain type or so. I can't remember the exact numbers. It probably depends. It's probably different in every single neighborhood. And the last time I looked into it, it was before premium houses exist. So who knows how it is today? But anyway, some tricky things one could do. Now,
Trixie.
all right. Anyway, so that's public event schedule and some of the tricky things that are coming up ahead. Now, the first bowler for the next update looks like it's planned for next week. I was under thought that it might have been this week, so either I heard it wrong before or they decided it needed a little bit more polishing before they put it out on the public test server. But next week is the current plan on the matter. So that means this coming week, so that'll be about 5 days, I guess, or something like this. Then after that, on the 29th, we'll have the update that will allow Rowan Raspberry to return to town and whatever is going to be coming along with that. And then I think that'll be up under there. Now, as for the release, I say that most likely we will have an update around the 19th because of the leisure item reward track, and they're saying that leading the charge is going to end on 317. Now, that implies that the raid will obviously have been opened up for about a month before then, so that means the 19th or maybe a little bit or perhaps the week before that you'd need an update for the adding the raid. So I say the 19th of February is probably the latest date we could possibly have the update 43. But
Looking
of
forward
course,
to
I
that
could be
update.
completely wrong. All right, anyway, that's what we have coming up on the public event schedule. And that's pretty much the news for this week. So let's go into the store sales. What's on sale this week?
Well, we have story, carry, and share. Get 20% off select vault storage and shared storage, select inventory slots, and that's through January 23rd. And the weekly coupon is for Universal Morale Potions times 5. The coupon code is HEAL UP, all one word, HEALUP, and that is also through the 23rd.
All right, thank you. So let's see what we've been doing this week in gaming. Krister, what have you been up to?
This week I got to trample my way through the city of Umbar and the lovely countryside. I find that trampling people and creatures is a good way to show them that I'm a wonderful, well-rounded traveler who just brings happiness and joy to probably just everybody else that's not getting trampled and watching you get trampled. But but adventuring with Pine Leaf and Cinders, Umbar, graciously helping me with the questing for uh, the book, and we finished at chapter 10.9, so I think we're going to get right through it. And then played a bit of ESO. I'm actually getting to the point where I'm close to getting 2,000 champion points, which is awesome. I have been having some fun with that. And then just a dash of Starship Evo, a dash of Path of Exile, and then a dash of Starcom Nexus. And so it was a pretty good week, feeling pretty good.
So you're
What were you up to?
so
Oh,
you
go
so
ahead.
you, so you're dashing through the snow then.
Dashing through the snow in a one horse open Balrog.
Okay. I'm waiting to see how you rhyme something with Balrog, but okay.
I'll have to work on it for a little bit, but let's eggnog.
You probably have to do something that scans a little bit better, right?
I don't know Balrog eggnog. Now I've just launched a whole new product line. I might
Balrog eggnog.
have. In fact, no. I don't even want to think about that too much. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Then we'll begin with my warden. My warden continued in the final region for the latest expansion. That is the so that's the fourth of the regions in there. So I'm going through the where they tell you why this thing is called Legacy of Morgoth. Yes. And my lore master was doing some questing in the Broad Acres. My minstrel was joining Cinders and Krister in that little trip into the earlier parts of the Yokoban Valley quest line. And my burglar joined Friday Night Fights this week. I think this is the first time I've taken my burglar for an outing in some group content. I don't know if it's the first time period, but it's certainly the first time since I got to 150 where I'm thinking, do I finally have enough in order for the burglar to actually contribute something in there? And it looks like it's done so because we were doing the arena, and this is the first time I ever managed to get through the six-player version of the arena. We had some tricky parts into it, trying to figure out what was going on in there, but then everyone's starting to understand the mechanisms, and I was starting to understand what a burglar needs to do in a six-player instance, where doing interrupts, getting the interrupts in there that's coming through in a timely fashion helped a great deal. I did some spot healing in there also because I had all those tricks in there. I finally figured out how to use them into there in order to get some nice healing for the group and also power restoration because there was one time in there where we were just out of power, whatever to do, so I just had to get in there and trip up the proper tricks in order to get them up there and thus worked on power management. I always thought that was something that lore masters did, but apparently burglars can do it also.
Well, remember, there was a long period of time where we didn't have to even think about our power. So,
Yes.
I think everybody lost focus on that during that time. So that's what's really funny. I guess would have never thought it. Thinking of a burglar doing a restored power thing, but that's great.
Yeah,
I feel like
it
you want like multiple sources of power generation in a party anyway. So that would be
right.
great.
And so this was something where I was yellow line. I don't know if you could really do it all that well if you're not in yellow line because a lot of those skills that you
When
need
you
in
know,
order to do it are chains. They're yellow line types of chains.
is yellow line acceptable to play with a group, or is it kind of a hard fit, or
It's
is it the desired way that a burglar is
it,
running?
it, it's the CC line.
So I'd
So
assume that actually would be exactly what you want
yeah,
for
yeah,
burglars.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, I'm sure that a lot of burglars are just to. I would think that is the most likely thing to do unless they're in there just to do raw damage. Because sometimes I guess you might have a burglar in there just to do raw damage. But if you're not doing a raw damage line, then to me yellow lines makes reasonable sense. Though I know that some people don't like yellow line because it's not exactly the most stealth friendly of the lines.
Right, right, okay.
But then that's why I like, for example, running skirmishes in there because I've got that skirmish soldier anyway, which points a big finger at me where I'm at. So if
So wait,
I
wait.
can't,
Yeah, he's really a snitch. He's
yeah.
over here.
Well, they see the soldier and they say, "Oh, there must be somebody else in next to that soldier commanding them." So yeah, stealth doesn't work all that well in skirmishes. Now, some of them, now of course, at Cap, where soldiers don't do all that much anyway, I presume that some burglars just dispense with the whole idea of keeping a soldier around anyway, and just use a stealth line. But since I've tended to use yellow in there because it has all that CC in there, then I think that works well enough. So don't have to worry about it since according to CC, I'm giving up stealth in there as a result of that. So it just works with my playstyle.
Gotcha.
And anyway, that is my week in gaming. Now, if you'd like to send us an email, you can send it to podcast at lotroplayers.com. The Players Alliance has two shows. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we record Loach Players News, and we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You can join for our shows at loachplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight, and this is Pine Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.